Good evening and welcome to Athens City Council. It is Monday, March 25th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Tonight we have a series of committee meetings, first of which is Planning and Development, which is chaired by member Alan Swank, who is joined by Jessica Thomas, Solveig Spjelnes, and Michael Wood.
This evening we have two items on the Planning and Development Committee agenda, both items related to properties in the Uptown area. The first is a Title 49 application for the property at 74 North Court Street. It's a rather straightforward application. The folks at 74 North Court Street are asking for a special right-of-way use permit for both properties, 74 and 74 and a half North Court Street, to replace an existing balcony located in the city right-of-way. To give you an idea of where this is, as you are headed down Court Street, when you get to that last alley, I guess that's an alley, the street may have a name, that would, if you came out of the alley, would run you into the, what's David's restaurant called?
Courtside Pizza.
Well, the other one.
Fern Alley.
Yeah, if you come up Fern Alley, it's that last property there on the right. They have actually gone ahead and replaced the balcony and are asking to get use of the city's right-of-way and are going through that application process. It's interesting because and Director Riggs isn't here tonight, and I'll ask the mayor, but this is one of those many thousands of questions of minute detail that many of us don't have. Do you have, sir, any idea on Court Street from the curb back towards buildings how wide the city right-of-way is?
I believe it's, well, if we're talking sidewalk right-of-way.
Yeah, this will be above the sidewalk.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's roughly 11 feet.
Okay.
From curb to the frontage of the building that's there.
Mm-hmm. And that is all city right-of-way?
It is.
Okay. The reason I asked that question, and I inquired from the clerk about city code, is that the first city code was put into effect on or around 1960, before some members of this council were born, I think, to give you an idea how long ago that was. And we in instituting code obviously weren't going to make property owners change what had been in place for some cases, such as the Berry Hotel, back to, well, you mentioned earlier Teddy Roosevelt, a long time ago. So the day before I came to council, I went down Court Street, starting at President Street, and counted between 30 and 35 properties that have things hanging over the city right-of-way, including 3 Ohio University buildings. And I was just wondering, to get things into compliance, and I would assume we would grant all these, if we might do an inventory of who has a use of the right-of-way and who doesn't, bring everybody in compliance. So with that said, I'd open up to other council members for questions, concerns, committee members' questions or concerns about this particular request.
Just from looking at it, I think it looks to be about the exact same size as the previous one.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's really not a change at all. It's just an update.
Yeah, and improve the look considerably.
Yeah.
And I guess what I was getting at there is before other people go about rehabilitating things that don't have that special use of the right-of-way, that by getting everybody into compliance, everybody up to speed, then they would go through the process before building. Because we have a situation down on East State Street where some significant structures have been built that have greatly impacted the neighborhood on the city right-of-way without permission and without this council acting on it. Other comments about this particular piece of legislation? Other members of council? Mr. Eisner.
I've been on council long enough where this type of request has come before council before, And the default has always been, if it's not a big radical change, to proceed with it. There's no really good reason not to. Why not?
Yeah, no, I would agree. And again, what you see there now is certainly an improvement from a aging balcony that existed for who knows how many years. Kind of cleans that up. Members of the audience? Okay, administration. All right, the second item on the agenda is also a Title 49 request. This is for property, Mount Zion Baptist Church. So if you picture, if you would, you are on Carpenter Street in front of the Armory, and you are headed west on Carpenter Street till you get to Congress. And you make a right on Congress, right there next to the building on Congress. They are asking for a pull-off where cars can pull off right there, unload passengers who may not be able to navigate from a parking lot or from a distance. It will be ADA compliant. We will have to take out one tree, but it is an aging, beat-up, old, ugly Bradford pear that needed to come out or not be planted 20 years ago. And Bonner's already looked at it and deemed it to be replaceable, and we will replace it with some vegetation closer to the building that is site appropriate in terms of size and structure. I have met on site with two members of the Zion Baptist Church Committee. They point out exactly how all this will work, and it'll be easy to come around that corner, slide in there, drop off your passengers, and then move on to appropriate legal parking spot. Any comments from members of the Planning and Development Committee? Yes, Member Wood.
Yeah, I don't see anything about maintaining sidewalks or access there. We already don't have the most accessible sidewalks in that area. What's their plan for that?
As it was explained to me, let me go to the picture here because we have quite a few pictures with this, that they would be able to work the sidewalk around that. There is adequate space between the pull-off and the building. So the sidewalk take a little curve around and go. And in so doing that, we will get a better sidewalk. Yes, Mr. Mayor?
A great example, I mean, you can all go and visit it just less than a block away from here, with Methodist Church, has the same kind of pull-off with a sidewalk apron that is ADA compliant, so that's the best example to give. So that would be
Perfect,
on
yes.
Carpenter Street.
Thank you. And again, it'll be a
Or Congress Street,
new sidewalk, so it'll be much smoother and more easily navigable than what we currently have.
Oh, yeah, I just had a minor point that the person who is named here, it says Susan Wright, and it's Susan Riggy. So if that correction could be made, that her name is spelled right, that would be helpful.
RAGHI is on the application. We have it wrong in the,
Right.
okay, so if we can make that change in the proposed ordinance.
Right is wrong.
Okay. Members of council, yes, Mr. McCary.
Thank you. I wanted to just point out for some context, folks have heard us mention the Mount Zion Baptist Church, which is commonly known as, and on the agenda you'll see Mount Zion Black Cultural Center, which represents a recent rebranding that's part of the renovation project folks have likely heard about. There are donation opportunities to support that, and the support of this Mount Zion Black Cultural Center is one of the goals of our Athens 2040 Comprehensive Plan in the Diversity and Inclusion section.
And in the ordinance in section 2, it is referenced as the Mount Zion Black Cultural Center. Yeah. Anybody else? Members of the audience?
Will the buses be able to go up there?
Yes, yes. Again, this will be on Congress, and a bus doesn't go up North Congress, does it?
It goes to the left sometimes.
Yeah, well, this is to the right, so we'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Administration? Well, that concludes the Planning and Development Committee.
Thank you. We will move on to Finance and Personnel, chaired by Member Jeff Reisner, joined by Michael Wood, Beth Clodfelter, and Micah McCary.
get our files up. Member McCary, I think this is really your potato, so you'd like to.
This is our finance committee. I thought this was your potato.
It is, but looking at the proposed ordinance, it's introduced by Michael McCary, Chair, City and Safety Services Committee.
Okay.
And
We'll start with ordinance 24 then, or no, ordinance to be named or numbered. An ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to renew a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. to upgrade body-worn cameras and tasers for the Athens Police Department. And I'm going to go ahead and read it for context. Whereas said equipment is specialized technology with programming services that are proprietary, limited to a single source provider that currently provides tasers to the city, and therefore competitive bidding is not required, and whereas an appropriation will be part of the annual budget for the term of the contract, be it ordained by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio, that the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to renew a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc., a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference to upgrade body-worn cameras and tasers for the Athens Police Department. Section 2 indicates that the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to expend up to $376,000 from the General Fund Police 101.207 for said 5-year renewal contract. And Section 3 indicates that the 2024 Appropriation Ordinance 130-23 is hereby amended by appropriating from the unappropriated balance the sum of $6,500 to General Fund Police 101.207 for additional costs associated with the second half-year payment. So as explained in this ordinance, this does not represent a introduction of new technology or resources into our police force, but rather an update. And this is before the Finance Committee for financing purposes, although it is a City and Safety Service resource. Thanks.
thank you. Member Kleffelder.
Do you happen to know if the police department plans to pursue any grant funding for this? This is clearly an important purchase, but it is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. I don't have that information. I wonder if, Mr. Mayor, have you heard anything about police department grants?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any programs for body-worn cameras. There have been grants in the past for the storage of the data, because that is probably one of the most consuming elements associated with body-worn cameras. But I will share this with council, and that being that our police department, all the officers, lieutenants, the captains, and the chief, would all agree, and they do agree, that having the body-worn cameras is an absolute necessity in this day and age when it comes to being able to have footage that can go back and be reviewed when there is said altercation, whatever that altercation is. And in a lot of cases, I'll speak for our police department, it has proven to be very useful when there are questions about incidents that have occurred, and going back and reviewing the tapes show, definitively that, or by and large definitively, that our police department is doing things correctly. And so, to not have these anymore would be a major, major misstep. There's a lot of communities across the nation, regardless of the cost behind these, that are all using body-worn cameras, whether they're using Axon or some other type. I would say that Axon is probably the industry leader when it comes to the body-worn cameras, in particular the taser product that they have as well, to where if an officer reaches for their sidearm or for a taser, the cameras, if they weren't on, are live and running, which is an important aspect with this technology. There are certain things that they have gone back and reviewed and felt that because of the cost, because originally this was supposed to be set $95,000 a year was the contract. The chief was able to negotiate that down to $75,000 annually, as was indicated, which would be $376,000 as opposed to $475,000, so it was a $100,000 savings right there. But some of it was things that, recognizing that our police department didn't feel like they were necessary bells and whistles associated with this system, and were able to have those removed from the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Member Wood. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm curious because this isn't about going without. It's an upgrade. I'm curious about what kind of upgrade it is, why it's necessary now. We're talking about the hiring freeze. We're talking about a lot of other cuts. This is a lot of hiring in that number. So I'm curious, like, can we delay this or why now? What's the upgrade?
I would recommend no delay this now. A lot of this is technology advancements with the body-worn camera systems. A lot of it is, I carry an i14 and I'm sitting there looking at people with an i15 who has so many more pixels, that they're able to take amazing pictures with. So that's part of the process too, is that the technologies are continually advancing. Often when the technology advances, the cost is going to go up as well. And storage is another major issue with the body-worn cameras. And then again, these are under contracts for a set amount of years. I believe that the current contract is set to expire. And so to renew this contract using body-worn cameras, it's an imperative that we move forward. And I mentioned that there were certain things that they pulled out, or they're going, this is added bells and whistles that we just don't find to be necessary with this system. I can give you a detailed breakdown as to what the improvements are, if that's what you're interested in, and make sure that council is able to see what those improvements are with the system.
I think that would be a good idea. Member McCary.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate the mayor's comments, and I think that in addition to what are the benefits of the upgraded technology, if there are incompatibilities that it might even starting to come up with the aging technology and the interface with the cloud or whatever the storage means is, I think it'd be helpful to, in this budgetary climate, clarify why this is a good time to upgrade.
Other members of council. Member Swain.
Since we're on the topic of spending the taxpayers' money, do we know how much we were spending on a per-year basis for each of the previous 5 years?
I can get that information for you. I don't have that at my fingertips right now.
I will say this, in looking at the contract and the fact that they did not have to bid on this, I appreciate the fact that they've itemized things as much as they have. Rarely do you see that where every nut and bolt and nail and hammer and screwdriver is pretty much itemized on here, and that's a good thing. But I would like to know, how much of an increase we've seen.
Member McCary again.
Thank you. This will be my last comment, but I just want to point out that I appreciate the administration's proactive efforts to lower the cost before it even came before council. So if you can pass along that feedback.
I will do that.
Thanks.
Anything additional from the administration about this? Audience? Treasurer?
The other thing I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the yearly payment is already in the 2020, is in the budget. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what you're really discussing is, are you going to just increase the $6,500?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So the 376 number has already been budgeted. These are yearly amounts that have been paid every year for the last however many years. So we're not talking about like this year we're having to dole out $376,000. We're talking about an extra $6,000 basically for this year.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
So that answers the question. It was only 69,000 previous years.
That
If we're going-
I wouldn't be able to give you that number, but
Okay.
you can assume something around that.
Yeah, from a budgeted standpoint. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Any other comments? Okay, we'll bring this up on Monday. See, next we have the 2024 NOPEC Energized Community Grant. And we have a draft ordinance already here. Would the administration like to say something about this before we actually read all this?
We get these energized community grants every year from NOPEC, and it's all based upon the number of gas customers, because we still are under the NOPEC gas aggregation program. And that money can be used for energy efficiencies, or it can be used for other renewable products. We've done this in the past with the solar lit bus shelters. And then for a couple rounds, we were able to deploy freestanding solar streetlights in the city of Athens in several locations. And while this year I haven't nailed down where I think would be the best use, but one potential area in the city would be the activity room in the community center. Because I know the director for Arts, Parks and Recreation is exploring the possibility of moving the former indoor playground equipment at the market on East State Street into the activity room, potentially in the community center, or not. But one opportunity would be to put a couple split units in there, where we would have much more efficient heating and cooling in that particular space in the community center. But that's an idea. I mean, there can be others that come to mind as we look at how to use this money. It's about $11,000 that we're receiving from that grant. It's somewhat comparable to what we've received in the past, but trust me, $11,000 goes rather quickly. I think we were fortunate enough to be able to purchase with that 4 maybe freestanding solar streetlights. So it doesn't go very far, but it's a great program that we're involved in due to our engagement with NOPEC gas aggregation program.
Let me read the first and second section here. The Council of the City of Athens finds and determines that it is in the best interest of the city to accept said grants, and hereby authorizes the mayor to enter into the 2024 NOPEC Energized Community NEC Grant Agreement, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein. Section 2, the City Council finds and determines that all formal actions of the City Council concerning and relating to the passage of this ordinance were taken in open meetings of the City Council, and that all deliberations of the City Council and of any of its committees that resulted in said formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with the law. Any comments from council, the committee? Okay, apparently people like free money. Other members of council? No? Members of the audience?
Member Reisner, may I ask a question?
Okay.
Mayor, I believe the last time we used this grant was for the Meadow Lane Pocket Park. Do you know, has that been installed yet? I haven't been down there in a while. I saw that the piping was all done.
The piping is done. The earthwork has not been done. That will likely be pushed off to 2025. We do have the lighting, so we can, when we do the earthwork in that future pocket park, we did get the storm drain fixed, though. That was a major, major issue.
Yeah. Big piping.
It was a big pipe. 6 foot diameter pipe. It's rather large.
Okay, thank you.
Member Clotfelder.
Just a follow-up question to that question, if I may. Where on Meadow Lane would the pocket park be?
It is in the southwest corner of the park, of Meadow Lane development.
Okay.
We've had many engagements with the residents that live down there.
Curve?
There it
It's
is.
right on the curve.
Okay.
There's that one open green space that is city property. It's 1/3 of an acre. It has one amazing healthy tree that, thank goodness, it didn't fall inside that failing culvert or underground storm tunnel. But in engaging with the citizens who are there, to explore what we could do with that space, because it is something the city owns, and make it a feature that would not only add to their property values, but also add to their quality of life down in that area. So we're gonna push it off a year. We kind of have no choice. Had to fix the storm drain first.
That makes sense. Any other comments? No? Well, I believe that concludes all of Finance and Personnel Committee's business for this evening.
Thank you, Member Reisner. We are now on to City and Safety Services Committee, chaired by Micah McCary and joined by Jeff Reisner, Alan Swank, and Jessica Thomas.
Thank you, President Crowell. We have just one agenda item on our City and Safety Services Committee agenda for the evening. An ordinance amending Ordinance 02-24, authorizing a city fiber network project number 347. This is an update to Section 1 of the said ordinance, which now reads, the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to expend up to $610,000 from ARPA Fund 286 for said project. And this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its passage and approval by the mayor. I know we don't have our City and Safety Services Director Stone with us this evening, but this is another use of our ARPA fund, and it's an increase to the amount previously stated for this fiber project. So I'll ask before we go to questions or comments if the mayor might have any information about this small change.
Yeah, this is to fix an error that we had in 02-24, where we had authorized and appropriated the money, but we recognized that we had already appropriated the money in the annual budget. So this is now to have council authorize the expenditure of that money.
Okay. Questions and comments, Member Reisner?
Just to refresh our memories, what all is involved in Project 347? How much fiber is going along, and where's it ending up, and so on?
It's phased. There's several phases. I believe there's at least 5 phases to this project. Phase 1 was having fiber run to Arts West, and that was initiated back during the COVID pandemic in 2020, 2021 timeframe, making sure that we could actually better live stream things from Arts West. The challenge that we had was our microwave shot, where during the summer months, with full foliage and everything, that microwave shot off of Roosevelt Hill was troublesome, to say the least. That was the first phase. Phase 2 is connecting to the Armory building, along with our traffic control boxes. And so that is barreling along, as well as connecting, fiberizing, I should say, all the way out to Kern Drive with the Public Works, Engineering and Public Works, as well as the service garage and the pool and the community center. So it's basically getting off of the aged microwave system that we have, which is over 25 years old now. Very old gear, a lot of replaced gear as well. I mean, it was a great system in the day, but for us to strengthen our backbone and have it become fiber rather than the microwave shot is going to make a lot of improvements when it comes to our communications for the municipal buildings. I will share with council that, for any local government, to fiberize your communication system, you really only need 2 pair of fiber. Most bundles are 144 or 288, or even larger bundles, so we've got a lot of extra fiber with this project where we could explore some other uses of that fiber for whomever who might want to access that fiber. I failed to mention the other thing that we'll be doing as part of the phase that is basically Court Street is to have city Wi-Fi, to where people can jump on the city's Wi-Fi on Court Street and do their work outside when it's nice and pleasant, enjoy Dora, in work or whatever you're doing during the summer months. But no, this is a great project, and it's one that we have been in earnest working on since 2020.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Member Spike.
Mr. Mayor, will this also, and I'm not a techie by any means, but will this also address some of the phone issues we've been having lately when it's all completed?
It will. I mean, there's a lot of issues with our phone system. But to overcome the copper that we're riding on with a lot of our phone systems, it will certainly help correct a lot of that.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Fiber versus copper, I'll take fiber all day long.
10 cans in a string.
Yeah.
Do we have any additional questions or comments from council members? Anything from, oh yes, President Crowell.
Thank you, Mayor McCary. Mayor, I'm sure that this is just a correction and this isn't an issue, but we have taken the remaining ARPA money and put it into the Armory project, but this $110,000 was not part of that,
That's correct.
Thank you.
Good question, thank you. Other questions or comments? How about from the audience? All right, seeing none, that will conclude our City and Safety Services Committee meeting for the evening.
And that concludes this night of City Council. Thanks for attending.
Wow.